Let me ask you a question. What if the one thing holding you back from becoming the kind of leader people admire, follow, and remember isn't your skills or your strategy, but your courage? Think about it. In business, in entrepreneurship, in finance, we spend so much time learning tactics, systems, and numbers. But when things get real, when the stakes are high, the difference between success and failure often comes down to whether you have the guts to step forward with vulnerability, honesty, and courage. And that's exactly what Brené Brown's book Dare to Lead is all about. It's not a traditional business book filled with charts and buzzwords. It's a guide to building the kind of inner strength and authentic leadership that transforms not only your organization, but your entire life. Dare to lead, brave work, tough conversations, whole hearts. That's the full title, and it captures the essence. Brené Brown is a researcher and storyteller who spent decades studying courage, vulnerability, and human connection. And in this book, she brings all of that wisdom into the world of business and leadership. Why does this matter right now? Because we're living in an age where people don't want to follow leaders who hide behind a mask. They want realness. They want connection. They want leaders who don't just manage, but inspire. And if you're an entrepreneur, an investor, or someone climbing the ladder in your career, this is the edge you can't afford to ignore. Let's dive into the heart of this book. There are 4 big ideas I want to share with you, and each OE has the power to shift how you think about leadership, courage, and success. First, vulnerability is not weakness. Vulnerability is courage. Most of us have been taught the opposite. We think that if we show fear, if we admit mistakes, or if we don't have all the answers, people will respect us less. But Brene flips this upside down. She shows, through her research, that the leaders who truly earn trust are the ones willing to be open, honest, and yes, vulnerable. Imagine you're running a startup. Your team is nervous about whether you'll hit your next funding round. The traditional image of leadership says, pretend everything is fine, show no cracks. But the reality? Your team sees right through it. What builds trust is when you say, yes, the road is tough, but here's why I believe in this mission, and here's how we'll face it together. That's vulnerability. That's courage. And that's leadership that people rally behind. The second big idea is this: clear is kind, unclear is unkind. This one hit me hard. How often in business do we avoid tough conversations? We don't want to hurt someone's feelings, so we sugarcoat feedback. Or we avoid giving direction because we don't want to seem controlling. But the truth? That only creates confusion and resentment. In the book, Brene explains that being clear, even when it's uncomfortable, is the ultimate act of kindness. For example, let's say an employee isn't meeting expectations. It feels easier to drop hints or quietly adjust their responsibilities. But that's unclear, and it's actually unkind. A courageous leader says, here's what I see, here's what needs to change, and I believe you can rise to it. That clarity is a gift. It builds respect, and it gets results. The third idea: leaders must rumble with vulnerability. Now, what does that mean? A rumble is Brene's word for a real, unfiltered conversation where people show up with openness, curiosity, and a willingness to get messy. It's not about having all the answers. It's about creating a space where hard truths can surface. Think about negotiations, team conflicts, or even investor meetings. The temptation is to armor up, to only show strength. But when you rumble with vulnerability, you invite collaboration instead of competition. You say, let's put the real issues on the table. Let's be honest about what's not working. Let's figure this out together. In entrepreneurship, this matters because innovation thrives in environments where people feel safe to take risks, share wild ideas, and admit when something failed. Without rumbling, you get silence. With rumbling, you get creativity. The fourth idea is about values. Brene says that daring leaders don't just have values written on the wall. They live into them every single day. It's one thing to say we value integrity or we value innovation. But when push comes to shove, when a client asks you to cut corners, or when you face pressure to chase short-term profit over long-term trust, do your actions match your values? That's the real test. She challenges us to pick just 2 core values to guide everything we do. Not 10, not 20, just 2. Because when everything is important, nothing is. And when you know your values, tough decisions suddenly become clearer. For entrepreneurs, this is gold. Your values become your compass in the chaos of business. They help you decide which opportunities to pursue, who to hire, and how to handle crises. And when your team sees you truly living those values, their loyalty and commitment skyrocket. Now, let's make this practical. How can you start applying these ideas today, even before reading the book? Here are 3 simple steps. First, practice vulnerability in small ways. The next time you don't know something in a meeting, say it. The next time you make a mistake, own it openly. Watch how people respond. You'll see respect, not weakness. Second, use the phrase, clear is kind. Whenever you're tempted to hold back feedback, remind yourself that clarity is a gift. Give people the honesty they deserve. And third, identify your top 2 values. Sit down today, write a list of what matters most to you, and choose the 2 that define who you are as a leader. Then, ask yourself, how can I live those values more consistently this week? And here's the thing, these steps are just the beginning. Dare to Lead is packed with insights, stories, and exercises that go much deeper. If you want to not just read about courage, but actually build it into your leadership, this is a book you'll want to own, revisit, and mark up with notes. It's one of those rare books that doesn't just give you information. It transforms how you see yourself and how you lead. So if you're serious about growing as a leader, do yourself a favor and get a copy of Dare to Lead. It's one of the best investments you can make in your own success. So what do you think? Are you ready to step into leadership with more courage, more clarity, and more heart? If you found this video helpful, I think you'll also enjoy my breakdown of other powerful books on business and personal growth. For example, check out my video on the Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss the next book that could change the way you lead, work, and live. Thanks for watching, and remember, the world doesn't need more perfect leaders. It needs more courageous ones. See you in the next video. Bye.